What is up, everybody? Solomon here. I'm going to make this video as short as I possibly can, but I stumbled across some very, very interesting information from an organization called LEI Worldwide, which is Legal Entity Identifier, which directly talks about the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund currently being in discussions with Ripple to potentially use Ripple's quote-unquote ledger, which in my opinion would be the Xrpl. So, real quick about legal identity or entity identifier from LEI Worldwide. You can certainly read into this. It's essentially about helping organizations meet their regulatory requirements with emphasis on Markets and Financial Instruments Directive MIFID 2 and Regulations MIFIR, and to assist entities in the process of obtaining an LEI number or a legal entity identifier number. Now, what's really interesting to me is kind of who this organization is working with. So right now there's 1,835,540 LEIs registered globally. I'm certainly going to get into the bread and butter of this as well. Recent news and updates, everything else. But here's what really struck my eye here. They work with UBS. And we see Rothschild and company there. Emirates NBD, which we know I believe is RippleNet. BDO. I mean, major companies here. Alliance, UAE, Ministry of Finance, S&P Global, United Airlines, Digital Currency Group, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Credit Suisse, which we've seen directly talk about, XRP, Baker McKenzie, GE, Bank of China, Standard Investment Bank, State Street, which is huge, European Depository Bank, Gulf Energy. This list actually gets a little bit bigger here. This is their partner program here, and it kind of goes over some of the same names that we just saw. But we do see the bigger list right here. UBS, Emirates NBD, Alliance. We all know that symbol. PwC, JP Morgan, Bank of Africa. Look at the tether symbol, Central Bank of Iraq. Seeing if there's any that we didn't catch on the first one. Lion Rock Capital. National Bank of, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but I've seen that name before, certainly. Yeah, across the board here. Now, Deloitte, obviously. Deloitte showcased RippleNet integration along with Blue Zone at Temenos T24 Transact, which was interesting. Now, here's where we get into the bread and butter of this whole thing. Like I said, I'm not going to make this thing long. So when you go into their news and insights, okay, regular news updates and blog posts, including regulatory updates and notifications for LEI requirements, this is where it gets very juicy. And at the end of this video, it's where it gets almost mouth-watering juicy. EU Commission proposes new AML CFT regulations featuring the LEI system. This is July 24th of 2021. The European Commission have announced a long-awaited anti-money laundering package and new regulatory body to govern its implementation and compliance. The legal entity identifier is chosen as a trusted means to identify counterparties to transactions. This package put forth aims to put in place a new watchdog called the EU AML Authority and draft a new single European Union rulebook for AML/counterfeiting obligations. 10,000 euro cash payments, and this directly talks about crypto assets as well. The proposal put forth on 20th July 2021 is set to include a revision of the 2015 regulation on transfer of funds, within which is a proposal for a new law which allows authorities to combat anti-money laundering counterfeiting by tracing sources of funds or crypto assets. In order to achieve this, the EU will mandate the use of the legal entity identifier for both payer and payees. Okay, you guys can read through this a little bit more if you want to, but here is kind of the bread and butter of this entire thing. And I literally just stumbled across this. I'm not sure how I did, but this is also in their news and their updates. This is digital identity, cryptocurrency, and the legal entity identifier. We can obviously see Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple here. The future of global monetary policy, crypto, and how the LEI system can play a major role. Now, this isn't a whole lot, so I'm going to read through this, and this video will be less than 10 minutes, I'm sure. The way we conduct business on a global scale is becoming ever more digitized. This intensifies the need for more robust and standardized security around digital identity and transparency when it comes to financial transactions and sending money abroad. This includes the need for regulators to custody their respective markets and ensure fair play, and also provide the participants in each market to have sufficient, reliable, and standardized data on who they are doing business with. With the ongoing complications brought on by the beer cold, we have seen how the current global financial system has room for improvement, and how the legal entity identifier can help fill these gaps. One of the current issues facing the GFS, or the global financial system, now pay attention to this, is the need for fast, secure, and a cost-effective alternative to cross-border financial transactions. Cryptocurrency may be the answer to this. We know it is currently being discussed within the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Economic Forum, with projects such as Xrpl's ledger potentially offering faster, more reliable, and cost-effective ways to send money abroad. For example, remittances. So, LEI Worldwide, who we know works with massive players, including the Rothschilds, State Street, central banks across the board, Deloitte, Apple, you get it. We know it is currently being discussed within the International Monetary Fund and World Economic Forum, with projects such as Xrpl's ledger potentially offering faster and more reliable and cost-effective ways to send money abroad, e.g. remittances. I get it. They're just discussing with Xrpl as one example for what they're trying to do, right? Now, if we scroll down a little bit further, we can actually see the implications of what they're talking about here, because I can understand their skepticism, all this stuff. I'm certainly not saying this is a definitive thing. But this, to me, with these organizations that LEI Worldwide works with, we know that the IMF and the World Bank are at least discussing Xrpl's ledger, which obviously is the Xrpl, to be able to facilitate the utility of the future of finance. Okay, that to me is at least a minimum. This could form a new stable bridge currency, liquidating trillions of capital held in reserves, which is Nostro and Vostro obviously, and foreign pre-funded accounts, and provide stimulus to the wider economy, which is the exact economic boost needed in these difficult times. Also, current payment systems such as SWIFT currently face a number of similar issues. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read through SWIFT. You can read through this if you want to. Now, the solution presented by the LEI can also be applied to both SWIFT transfer and a cryptocurrency alternative to SWIFT, as it is both interoperable and globally recognized. Both SWIFT and Xrpl's ledger have signed up to the ISO 20022, which may potentially adopt the LEI as its KYC solution. This would drastically increase the number of legal entity identifiers in existence, which currently sits around 1.77 million LEIs. In the physical world, we would never consider a SWIFT transaction to an unverified entity. I get it. Cryptocurrency is forecast to grow 0.3% with CAGR of 32%, blah, blah, blah. All right, this is kind of the end that I want to talk about here. Now, directly below this, they talk about blockchain and the LEI. So we get the World Bank, the IMF, certainly at least in discussions with Xrpl for using the Xrpl, correct? I would assume that that's the case based on this. Not financial advice, obviously. This is just what I found. This is kind of where it gets interesting, and if you're peeking right now, you can obviously see the Xrpl and transactions on ODL going through right now, right in their presentation here. Blockchain technology is essentially a decentralized ledger that records data or transactions in an immutable and transparent manner. While I'm reading this, I want you to think in your head if this sounds familiar to you whatsoever. These records are stored in blocks, which are chained together using cryptography. There are various types of blockchains. Cryptocurrency Bitcoin, which was the first implementation of blockchain, has the attributes of being public and permissionless, meaning anyone can join the Bitcoin network, etc., etc. While the transactions of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin can be viewed by anyone with the address details, they do not require a real-world identity to be provided. This means that transactions can be anonymous and untraceable to the participants in the transaction. With no transaction links to the real world and its decentralization, transparency, and append-only nature, financial anonymity is possible. Anonymous financial transactions, meaning know your customer, and anti-money laundering is not possible. Now, this is not a new problem, and there is an existing solution. We need a verifiable digital identity to meet our regulatory requirements. Do you understand where this goes and what this is talking about? This means Bitcoin may not be the answer, but there are other projects in the cryptosphere with the potential to provide such solutions. And paired with the legal entity identifier, it would provide a powerful combination. Neutral bridge assets, such as a blockchain-based currency, would enable seamless currency movement between various central banks without requiring each one to load pre-funded accounts often required in cross-border transactions. And I quote, on-demand liquidity service would allow financial institutions to transact instantly on a global scale using a digital asset as a bridge currency. And interestingly enough, obviously this organization is literally showing you XRP transactions. This will create faster, cheaper, and more efficient payment infrastructures with lower failure rates, greater competition, and access to global markets, increased access to financial services for unbanked populations, and government sovereignty over monetary policy. The Bank for International Settlement issued a report recommending the use of legal entity identifiers to enhance KYC. So you can read further down into this, but last but not least, I want to read this last statement from this organization that works with some of the major powerhouses across the board in assigning identifiers from the legal aspect for some of these organizations, such as potentially the Rothschilds, which we saw here, State Street, lots of central banks, etc., etc., etc. And this last statement that I'm going to read to you is, could all of this mean that a cryptocurrency-based financial system becomes the de facto money transfer system, replacing SWIFT? It certainly is a conversation being had within the major financial authorities around the world at the moment. A digital LEI system would provide the following benefits to such a system. You can read through that. Instant reconciliation of received funds. Future-proofing for additional tokenization of digital assets. Man, it's pretty clear, cut and dry with something like this when you stumble upon it. What's going on here? We know that the EU is proposing this. We know who this organization is partnered with here. And you can even go down through here. They're partnered with the European Union, multiple other initiatives, and they're literally posting pictures about XRP, the Xrpl, and talking about RippleNet, and potentially the IMF and World Bank using the XRP ledger to facilitate the recovery. I don't need to say anything else. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you later. Bye.